Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of 8 Plus 1 The Classroom. My name is Charles Nzali. Today, my guest is an entrepreneur and a mental health advocate uh, and also a mentor of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Craig Mason with me. Craig, welcome to 8 Plus 1 The Classroom, Craig.
Hey man, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Oh man, it's actually a privilege of mine to. I know you're a busy guy with family and entrepreneurship. To take some time out of that and come and sit down and have this conversation with me, it's a blessing. It's an honor.
You bet. I'm excited to see what we can do together. Let's
Yes,
do this.
yes, very well, very well. Craig, let's start from. Usually, when I start these interviews and these conversations, I try to get to know the individual, right? The purpose of 8 Plus 1, the classroom, is to create a space where we have conversations that we might not have in the classroom or anywhere else, right? So that is, as a result, we come to this classroom that has no teacher, and then we learn from people who are actually guests. So the goal is to provide people an opportunity to see things from a point outside of the actual classroom, right? So with you, it's gonna be an opportunity for us to really learn about the journey that you have taken as an entrepreneur and also your journey as a human being. You know how those two connect. And so to start that, I want to start from young Craig. How was your upbringing like?
Sure. First off, I love this concept. I'm a big believer that those who learn the most do the most. And so this idea of always being addicted to learning is part of who I am. And you'll see that because as a kid, I grew up in a small town. My mom was a teacher. My dad was an attorney. And the joke was always, if I got in trouble at school, my mom knew about it before I got home. If I got in trouble out of school, my dad knew about it before I got home. So, and I was always in trouble. So I was just a goofy, ornery kid. But my parents were amazing and taught me how to focus on learning and how to do my best and be proud of myself and always be open to learning and doing more. So pretty awesome.
Nice. So as a young person growing up, with parents who are a father who's an attorney and a mother who's a teacher, we do have that in common. My mom is a teacher. My father is a teacher as well. So we do have that in common. Usually having parents who are in the education system, right? It usually gives you a different perspective on education because they are what I call ambassadors of education. So education is always at the forefront, at least at my experience, at the forefront of the activities at the house. Yep. Is that the same experience for you?
Yeah, and so my mom was a special ed preschool teacher. So she always had those kids who struggled the most in her classroom. And, so I heard some of those stories growing up, which made me incredibly grateful that in the game of life, I was already 1,000 steps ahead of a lot of people, physically, mentally, and just from the situation I grew up in. But also, like, she never brought a problem home. Like, she was always proud of the work that she did. And she always took every student as a personal opportunity to go get the best out of them. So she routinely had kids who'd come in who were 5 and 6 years old who had never used a fork before, didn't know how to read, didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And she loved them to death. That was her approach for all of her kids, was to give them the most that she could and the moments that she had with them. And that has always stuck with me.
So what in that upbringing, right? what in that upbringing inspired your no? What in that upbringing gave birth to your relationship with mental health?
You know, that's a tough question because I've always had great opportunities. My parents have always given me the best opportunities, and you know, growing up in a small town, had the opportunity to go do just about anything and everything, and that was what I was always grateful for. Is my parents always gave me that freedom and encouragement to go try to do anything from sports to music to education to learning different topics. Anything I was curious about, they encouraged me to go figure it out and go see it through. But I think I started to put pressure on myself growing up too. And so the more I had opportunities and whenever I saw success or saw challenges, I just built that pressure on myself. And then through school was bullied as well. And by a core group of people that I really, really wanted to be accepted by. So it really bothered me. And that's kind of the impetus of my original mental health challenges. So I as a teenager had planned my own suicide. And just was really fortunate that the right people asked me if I'm okay. You know, so they say, "Hey, are you okay?" Like, "Yeah, bro, I'm great." And forgive me, I'm 16 for saying bro. Like, but yeah, I'm fine. Like, no, you're not. Like, oh, no, I'm not. So I got really lucky that people asked me at the right time, and were looking out for me, and that really began a rocky mental health journey and the beginning of self-awareness for me. I'd never thought of mental health at all as a thing until that point. It was just, 20 years ago, you never thought about mental health. People didn't talk about mental health. There were these stigmas. There's these walls built up around it, and you never talked about it. You just, everybody's fine. Everybody's great until they're not, and it's really bad. And so that was like my trial by fire into the mental health world of, I'm not fine. I'm really not fine. And have lived that battle ever since, of learning and continuing to self-check and check in with myself of, okay, how am I actually doing? And how's the world around me making me respond and think mentally if I'm okay or not. And so that's, yeah, so that really, those experiences really started down this journey that I'm on now as kind of chapter one, and wanting to let everybody know that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to keep it to yourself, and to look out for yourself and look out for other people, because we're all fighting an invisible battle.
Oh, okay. So there's always this saying where I grew up at, right? Where they'll say, "To whom much is given, much is expected." So I just heard you say that growing up, you had a lot of opportunities.
Yep.
And out of those, because you're given so many opportunities, you started building pressure on yourself. Is that pressure as a result, because this is so much of this is given to me, and then I am expected to make something out of this, and that pressure built out of that for you, right?
Yep, exactly. Well, and one thing that people don't realize is that everybody has problems. And if you're fortunate enough to solve a problem in life, you aren't given a reward, you're given a new problem. And sure, there are a lot of first world type problems out there that we are grateful to have. But, for me, I thought I was doing great and escaping problems, and I was just cornering myself because there were other problems that were knocking on the door that I wasn't aware of and wasn't ready to deal with as a teenager. So yeah, I had so many opportunities that just kind of built like a mountain, and it came down like an avalanche.
Wow. Because sometimes we human as people, right? We tend to think that pressure can only come from not having, or the lack of, right? Trying to have something or trying to achieve something, we have pressure from that. But also, I can only imagine what it feels like when you're giving all of this and you like make something out of this, and that that's in itself can be super 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 stressful. That can be a really hard thing for someone to deal with, especially if you're this guy that everybody thinks this is the guy who should make it, and then in the middle of all of that, you're like, okay, you're giving me this, but have you really exactly asked if this is what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
or if this is what I'm seeking?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it could be a lot of things that emanate from that.
Well, you know, it's like you're eternally grateful for the opportunities and the things that you're given, but that also carries, at least for me, it carries a weight,
Yeah.
like a burden to not mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
to have been given so many things, how do I go make the most of it and make the biggest impact and go do the best that I can for myself and for others? Nobody put that pressure on me, but I put it on myself.
Yeah.
And then I carry that. I carry that pretty heavily on my shoulders every day.
I can only imagine that. And it's that experience with mental health, is that what inspired you into your entrepreneurial journey?
So my entrepreneur journey is really, I wouldn't call it an accident, but wasn't something I intentionally planned.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I grew up small town, went to KU, and I was confident that I was going to be an investment banker and be in the finance world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got there, first job, got fired, second job, hated it, and then got a referral from my wife who was working at a great company here in Kansas City, to work for a healthcare tech company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I stumbled into the health tech space.
Mm-hmm.
And over the nearly 10 years there, really learned my why and learned my passion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'd really suppressed that mental health side. Like I really was the young go-getter trying to, like I just talked about, like trying to make the most of the opportunities I've been given, and go seize the day kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just continued to build up, and I continued to struggle and continued to feel emptiness and feel like an imposter. And it wasn't until honestly really recently when I started looking at mental health from a technology and solution space, where that all came rushing back to like, wow, this is actually a really good representation of my own struggles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be an expert. I'm a user of the system. I'm part of the system. I've experienced what mental health crises look and feel like. And that really just was almost like a reminder for me and a confidence booster that this is what I needed to go do and make the leap to go be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so let's talk about actually what exactly it is that you do, right?
Sure.
So let's talk about, how do you say it? Raise? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about raise. Define to us, right, what raise really is, because it's a pretty interesting thing, and I would like for you to kind of explain that. Yeah.
So, you know, with my background and struggles in the mental health space personally, and with my experiences in the healthcare technology spaces professionally, and the evolution of where technology is today, it kind of was this perfect storm and collision of the idea for raise. And so we are focused on shattering the paradigms in the mental health space and taking a leap forward into tackling this mental health crisis that's spiraling and tackling and challenging us in so many ways. So what we did is think about, how can we go be proactive? How can we find people headed towards a crisis before a crisis occurs and get them connected to the problems that are out there. So what we did was we built technology that analyzes everyday conversations and detects things in the mental health space like depression and anxiety and thoughts of suicide, and drive alerts prompting professionals who can get them the help that they need in real time before that crisis ever occurs. So that was the idea of Raise, was to really create solutions that reimagine our pathways to better mental health. And we officially went and started that. I left my corporate world job in December to go start working on Raise full time.
So in recent times, right, with the emergence of artificial intelligence, right, AI, it's almost a thing. As soon as AI became a thing, the world kind of looked at it from a negative point, right?
Yeah.
It became this really bad thing out of nowhere that everybody labeled bad. And how did that thought process come about to say, okay, let me use artificial intelligence to help people who are dealing with mental struggle?
Yeah. Well, so, Arthur C. Clarke once said that the precursor to science fact is science fiction. And in the science fiction world, there's two schools of thoughts. One is, if we keep going down the path that we're going down, what's our ultimate demise? Terminator. Then there's the other school of thought of the what if. And that's where you get things like Star Trek and other interesting science fiction. So that's how we approach, like, what if we could use this technology that can move faster than ever, can do things in real time, and can be trained to detect when something's wrong to help change the trajectory of people's lives. And so that's really how we tried to approach it, of what can we do with this amazing new technology to go make a difference and start helping people's lives in proactive ways.
So the goal with your business is to create this space, this tool that is going to detect our mental struggles before we even know that this is exactly what is going on. Because usually with depression and some of the stuff, sometimes people are depressed without even knowing that's what they're going through. But how does that work in real time?
Yeah. So, what's really interesting is, like, when it comes to our physical health, we don't wait till stage 4 cancer to go get treated. If it's stage 1, we're going to all hands on deck. When it's a fracture, we don't wait till it's broken. But when it comes to our mental health, feelings of anxiousness, loneliness, sadness can quickly turn into depression, anxiety, and thoughts of suicide. So to your point, is a lot of people either don't know what they're feeling is a precursor to a major mental health crisis, or people are experiencing that and don't know how to get help or aren't comfortable yet reaching out to somebody. So what we want to do is, like, can we find those people and create an open door for somebody to offer help, to be that nudge, to be that hand to get them on a new trajectory. So we built this AI solution using all the buzzwordy acronyms and technology out there, really for the simple focus of, how do we use the most powerful computers and the most complex algorithms to simply detect when somebody is saying those things that go below the radar, but are those early or real-time indicators of a potential mental health crisis, and connect them with somebody who can change their life, whether it's a high school counselor, an EAP program at work, a therapist in a community, caseworkers and community organizations. We want to be that connector, create the bridge, and eliminate the gap between insight and action.
So how do I access this service? Is it through an app that is on my phone?
Yeah, so today we've designed the solution to really be embedded into existing communication channels and work inside organizations who already have the objective or impact of mental health and the means to follow up with them. So this isn't something today that's designed to be a consumer app. It's designed to be part of, a digital engagement app for high school students, in the telephony platform for a veteran service organization, as part of a telehealth platform for people calling in about the rash or getting advice about other things. But they have the staff and they have the focus on mental health. So when somebody is identified, there's an immediate connection. Because the worst thing is not finding somebody in crisis. The second worst thing is finding something and doing nothing about it. So we want to make sure, at least early on in our journey, that we're working in spaces where there is that follow through mechanism by the organizations we're working with, or bringing a partner with us who can follow through and help support them.
It's pretty. It's pretty needed, and not pretty. It's very needed.
So there's just some shocking statistics out there in this mental health crisis. Like 1 in 4 young adults recently surveyed have seriously contemplated suicide in the last 30 days. Up to 80% of adults are neurodivergent, have trauma or mental health crises in their life. However, less than 25% of people ever get support. So it costs organizations billions, it costs families, it costs communities, and yet we don't know how to solve it. There's a shortage of therapists. There's more suicides every day by veterans than ever in the history of the world. In fact, there's multiple more deaths by suicide than in combat. And all these crazy transitions in life, all these big things that are going on, people are still living in a world where there's these stigmas and paradigms where you need to suck it up, buttercup, and you've got to fight your battle on your own. And they don't know that it's okay to reach out to somebody. So that's a big piece of what we want to be able to do, is just to detect when somebody's in need of support and help create that bridge and that open door to get people those connections so that they don't have to suffer in silence. To your point, if they don't recognize that what they're feeling is a crisis, somebody can just be that gentle hand on the shoulder to say, hey, I'm here for you. And I firmly believe that as we find more ways to interject into the current cycle that we have in mental health, it will start to shift our own perspectives, our own paradigms, our own comfort and confidence that nobody is fine, and start getting to a place where all these other issues going on in the world that have roots in mental health start to solve themselves a little bit. At least that's my hope. We've got to hope that this will work. And so, we think that taking that great leap forward to think about mental health proactively and advocate and be honest about what is out there and create these connections is the first step of many steps needed to help change our world.
So the reason I started to ask a question earlier and I just got quiet, right? I just know on an individual level, right? So me, for example, right? When I had my experience with mental health, it took forever for me to actually even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Let alone speak about it. Because speaking about it is a sense, a form of acknowledging that, okay, this is what exactly is happening with me. But just acknowledging that, oh, this is what I'm going through. Identifying it is one thing. Acknowledging it is another thing. Then speaking about it or going to seek help is a whole, that's another phase of it. But just acknowledging it alone is hard. I'm just imagining if I had this tool to if I had access to this tool, what that would have done for me at that time. It would have verily provided me with the tools that I needed really, really early on. Because I just finally now decided that maybe I should go to therapy.
Yeah.
And it's not something that my wife started going to therapy. And in a really short period of time, I started noticing just the differences of how helpful this could be. That's when I decided that okay, let me make use of this, you know. But it's like,
Well, we live in this world where we're supposed to put our best foot forward and show strength in work, in our personal lives, be looked up to, be confident, be trustworthy. And mental health has always been perceived as a sign of weakness. But, I believe that saying you're not okay is the ultimate sign of strength. That's the ultimate strong person who is willing to raise their hand and say, hey, I need some help. That's true strength.
yeah, you know, just me. I'd just looking at what her going to seek help did for her, right? Made it okay for me to be like, you know what, I need to also go and seek help, right? And for the longest, it's not something that I speak about. I go around friends and we travel and go to places, and in that trip, I am dying inside. It's like I'm just going through it, right? And I go out with my friends, and sometimes they're like, man, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
Why are you acting like this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm okay. And they're just like, man, you're acting weird. They label you all these things, right? But deep down you're like, something is not normal with me,
Yeah.
man. Everybody else is saying I'm weird, I'm doing this. But deep down you're definitely going through a lot of pain and a lot of issues that you're dealing with on an individual level. So I could only imagine what this can do for people, and at least this is from my side. But what is your? I mean, we are human beings. We are just creatures of hope, right?
Yeah.
That's who we are. We are creatures of nature, or creatures of, uh, we are creatures of behavior, and also creatures of hope. We behave certain ways, hoping certain things happen, right? What is your hope? What do you hope this can do for people?
At the end of the day, my hope is just that this helps create a movement where people reach out, people understand and are aware of those hidden battles that we all have, and the stigmas wash away. And we start taking mental health head on and discussing it as comfortable as we are talking about going and getting an x-ray or having knee surgery, or going to therapy should be a badge of honor, not something that we're ashamed of. Having knee surgery is not something you're ashamed of. Having all these other things, it's part of being a person. And that's my hope, is that we give mental health the first class treatment that we give physical health when it comes to our health.
So it's a very interesting approach, honestly, because the power of AI, I don't think we as people already have actually understood the impact that artificial intelligence can have in the world that we are living in today. They're talking about, people are worried about their jobs, people are worried about all kinds of stuff, right? But in that light, there's also how much hope that it could bring to how much good it can do for us as a people, right? Can you speak on that?
Yeah, this has been the battle between human and technology forever. There used to be jobs where people would light streetlights because they were gas, and then you had electricity, and you didn't need somebody to light a streetlight anymore. There are so many jobs that have been replaced by technology, but those jobs are only replaced by the people using those technology. And sure, this very specific job may not exist in 5 or 10 years from now, but it's going to be replaced by the pairing of a human and a technology that helps us get to a better outcome or solve a problem we've never been able to solve before in all new ways. So, I mean, Elon Musk is turning spaceships into taxis. It feels like you can go to space in almost a moment's notice. And taxis weren't replaced by Uber. They were enabled a new generation approach to real-time transportation in a whole new way. So yes, technology will disrupt. It's scary, it's confusing, it's new, it's edgy, and every time something happens, there's always the potential worst outcome. But humans prevail. They're the collective of people making sure that technology is ultimately used for good and has a good impact is part of what makes us people, is that hope and that responsibility and that collective mentality of making sure that even with all of our differences, at the end of the day, we have hope. We believe that we can do this. So technology has so many, AI is cute right now. You can go create ridiculous images, or you can create Snoop Dogg doing a country song, all these cool and cute things. But behind it, there's real world examples of being able to find cancers that have never been able to be detected by a human that are now being able to be detected in years before you could in the past, and being able to do all these different things. I mean, technology helps us solve problems we've never been able to solve at speeds we never even dreamed of.
I think what it is right. We are dealing with a huge force for evolution, right? And some of us are struggling to adjust. Some of us are struggling to accept that evolution, right? And my biggest fear is that those of us who refuse to adjust to that evolution, right, are going to struggle the most.
Yeah.
And those that actually make the best out of it early on are going to be those that they do really well in this space. And that's what I suspect is going to happen. Because when the internet first became a thing, right, people who actually invested in it early on, even just to know how to, just not even financial investment, just the educational investment, knowing how to operate this thing, right, those people made the best out of the internet.
Yeah.
The people that understood it, took time to understand it really early on, did amazing from the internet. And then you can also see that in the rise of, when at first it used to be when printing press was a thing, right? It's still a thing, but when printing press was a thing, it was people who were sent all over the world to go study printing, and then who work for printing companies and newspapers and all these places, right? And then we see the evolution of digital press. The news that you can read from your phone, you can read from your tablet, you can read on the news and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
That eliminated the printing press a little bit. It's not gone. The instinct. It's not like still does not exist. It exists, but there is a part of it that's almost like I'd rather just read it on my phone than hold a newspaper, right? We were forced to adjust, right? And then it's gonna be a time where it's gonna be complete. Now it's at a point where I have to pick and choose. It used to be one source of news. The newspaper comes and then you buy it, right?
Yeah.
And then the supplier comes and drops it off or wherever you go to buy it. Now it's like, okay, I'm only interested in maybe Fox. I trust the news from Fox, not CNN or BBC. So you focus on Fox, right? You watch Fox, or you have the app, or you sign up for the alerts to come on your phone, and you have people like, no, I'm gonna deal with Google News and things like that, right? So we were all given a choice, and what that choice made is it made Fox News to try to be as reliable as possible to its consumer, right? So we're all gonna eventually adjust to this artificial intelligence space. Where it's gonna change the education, the dynamic of what we go to school for. Nobody's going to school now for printing press to study how to do printing press, right? We adjust it. And I think AI is going to do exactly that. It's going to force all of us individually and professionally to adjust to what we study in school, what we have interest in as people. But one thing that will never be lost is humanity.
Yeah.
And I actually believe that.
Well, I firmly believe that the scariest place to be is your comfort zone.
Yeah.
As once you feel comfortable and you stop being curious about others' opinions and what new technologies, what new opportunities, what the world is doing, then that's where you get left behind. So, those who are curious and tenacious and stay out of that comfort zone and are always willing to try the new technology, try the new thing, go find a way to the middle ground. Those are the people who are building the next generation and helping us continue to advance.
That's very true. That's very true. That's very true. And then so I'm just gonna ask the most generic question that they ask every entrepreneur is, where do you see yourself in where do you see this? What's the ultimate? I mean, you're already a winner, right? But what's your what would be your big entrepreneurial moment for you in this space? What do you look forward to?
I used to measure things by income or title or whatever it is, but I have found that place in my career and in my life where impact is ultimately how I want to be measured. So yeah, I think I've already made it. Where do you want to? How do you know you're successful? I am. It doesn't matter that I'm running a company. I'm successful because I'm happy and because I'm doing things that I feel make a difference and make an impact. That's how I measure my success. And I want the Craig of 5 and 10 years from now to continue to build on that compounding interest of impact. So I ultimately, what do I want to be doing? It really is continue to make bigger impacts and help others make impact. I really want to serve and help others go achieve their vision and go impact the world as much as they can. That's really what I want to be able to do.
Okay, you said to be happy, right? What's happiness for you?
I've got an amazing family, and that's incredibly supportive, and that's happiness is the smiles from my kids and my wife, and doing work that I think that they'll be proud of, that I think makes an impact, and being around people I enjoy that challenge me, that are smarter than me, and make me smile and make me work hard. That's happiness to me, is being surrounded by people who care and challenge me to be the best me.
And man, you know, one thing about you is that I can sit and listen to you speak all day long, and I, you and I connected recently, and uh, became someone that I talk to very often here and there, and I'm a huge fan of your perspective on this thing, this journey that we call
Yeah,
life, right?
I appreciate that.
I'm a huge fan of that, and also I see a lot of tenacity in what you do, and also there's also a huge underlying factor, and that factor is belief. You just the little assignments when I ask questions and stuff, the little assignments that you will give out, it's assignments that actually forces me to believe in whatever I am doing, right?
Yeah.
And there's no way somebody's gonna force you to believe in what you're doing if they do not believe in what they are doing. And that's one thing that I really admire about you is that you have a lot of belief in what you were doing. And that does speaks volume of who you are as a human being first. And I do think that will transcend into your entrepreneurial journey down the line. And it's exciting to see. And I'm watching from afar, but also I'm very close by. And I just want to, I'm excited to see what this takes you. Because recently I know you were in DC for uh, a seminar, right?
Hmm.
How did that go?
It was awesome. It's the World Healthcare Innovation Congress, where lots of thought leaders in the healthcare and technology space, just getting to share a room with them, having an opportunity to be on the main event floor stage, getting to share our vision and how we want to go make an impact. Was really cool to see others want to fuel that fire that we're building and help us on our journey, and everybody, and do the same for them too, like contribute to their ideas, be their cheerleaders, because ultimately at the end of the day, it isn't a zero sum game. It's an infinite game,
Hmm.
and it's a world of abundance, and kind of goes to the mindset of all ships will rise. It's sure you have a competitor, but at the end of the day, if you're focused on a vision and you're focused on impact, then everybody helps each other go achieve that vision. Whether it's your name on the front of the door or not, who cares? You saved a life, you improved a life, you changed an industry. I mean, that's what it's all about, is rallying around each other,
Hmm.
and helping each other go do great things. So the conference was really cool to see those types of people who are thinking about problems in new ways, who are sharing their vulnerable ideas and their problems, and help everybody contribute and build compound, and help them get to the place where they go achieve that vision and impact.
Well, I think you're already on that track. You're already doing that, my friend. And I wish you all the best, man.
Thanks. Kind of going back to that 16-year-old me. Um, I a lot of people said they didn't believe in me,
Hmm.
and that was hard. But that was kind of a defining moment in my life, to look inward instead of outward,
Hmm.
to start saying I believe in me,
Hmm.
and saying nobody else can get me down,
Hmm.
as long as I stay positive
Hmm.
and I do my best to fail every day and fail forward and learn at every moment, then nothing can stop any of us if we believe in ourselves and continue to push ourselves to be better than the version of ourselves yesterday.
That's ultimately that's where life lies.
Yep.
And man, thank you.
Hey, the grind's hard. And there are days where it's the best ever, and
Hmm.
there are days where it's the worst ever.
Hmm.
And working in an environment where you're creating and being an entrepreneur, those moments happen like 15 minutes apart.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's a roller coaster, and you
Oh,
have to stay balanced and have to continue to have that belief and vision and focus and keep going, even when
yeah.
it's hard,
Oh, yeah.
even when you want to stop and celebrate, even when you want to give up. Keep going, keep staying level, and it all works out.
Yeah. You know, I don't really think as an entrepreneur or as even in the corporate space, right? I don't think you're tested until you have the highest of your height, and then everything comes down crashing, and then you have to climb back. That climb back, that's where the fun lies.
Yeah.
That's where the real entrepreneur in you, or the real corporate guy in you,
Yeah.
that's where it's built.
So true.
That's where character is built. The climb back, when you were trying to follow those steps that you did to get to the first place,
Yep.
to the top, and that's where it may. Because if you ever cheated your way up there, now you don't. The map is not there.
Yep.
The mental map is not there. The physical map is not there. So it's gonna take you a while to figure it out. But if you had done what you're doing right, you're always gonna have those steps behind, and you can always follow that path back to where you were. So
Yeah. Our biggest failures are the closest we've ever been to success.
Yeah.
And if we choose to give up in that moment,
yeah,
it'll be have been a waste of all of it. But if you keep going, you're so close to the next morning dawn. The darkness is almost over,
yeah,
and you can begin to see that light. And that's where too many people give up.
yeah,
And keep going and believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing. And success really is about persistence. And those who are willing to go longer
yeah.
at trying to do something big.
I mean, that's true, and that's it. Even with sports, with business, it's just the same. It's the same principle. It's the same principle. That's why of recent we've seen a huge rise in athletes becoming very successful entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the amount of money that they have. It's not the leverage, because the same always is the great athletes who become great entrepreneurs, because it's the same system that they just use the same mechanism and put it into use in another dimension, in another perspective, or in another way, and then still become successful.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I've never really thought about that, but like they build those habits and they build systems, and they build an ecosystem around them that helps them go achieve more than the average person has ever achieved, because they build that mindset of to be stronger mentally. That's what helps them on the physical side to go be great.
Yeah, because the best, if you're an entrepreneur, right, you're gonna have to reassess at some point. You're gonna have to pivot. You're gonna have to assess, readjust. You're going to have to fail, and you're gonna have to learn how to win, right? Nobody does that more than an athlete. In one game alone, a person playing any kind of sport, soccer, basketball, football, baseball, they do this in the game thousands of times in a game, where you have to adjust. Somebody's playing defense on you. You need to learn to adjust. How do I beat this defense? So you take that and you put that into
So
entrepreneurship, or into life in itself. It's like, okay, it's like one of those.
Hey, it's like the Mike Tyson quote of everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
It's those who adjust and keep going, keep their chin strong, are the ones who ultimately win the battle.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. That's just the beauty of it. And I'm grateful. I always say this. Me personally, I'm just the kid from Gambia who came to America, and with expectations that, oh, this is what America look like, and then you come here, quickly you realize that this is not what you're thinking, and what is reality is two different things. It's not America in Hollywood movies. That's not the real America. The real America, with taxes, poverty, mental health, with gun violence, with education, with both street and classroom education. And you also realize that you need to adjust, you need to reassess, you need to your plan that you came with might not be the plan that works as the best for you once you get here and read the temperature in the room or figure out what is there. So you have to change. You might have to change your plan 2, 3, 4 times. That's the beauty of America. That's the beauty of it. But
Yeah, the great lie is that it's just given as this gift, and it's here's the rainbow path to everything you wanted.
Yeah.
No, the real dream is never giving up.
Yeah, that's
if you learn how to never give up, there's nothing that can stop you from achieving whatever you want in life.
That's just what it is, man. That's just what it is. And it's a pleasure to have you in the classroom, to have you at A+1 in the classroom. And I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. I'm beyond grateful. I just want to see where this goes, and there's room for it. And I kind of had an idea of exactly what it is, but sitting here today and just having this conversation with you kind of widened my perspective on exactly what it is that you were doing. And I just knew it's needed. It's very needed, because it would have helped a lot if I had that in my tool. It would have helped me a great deal. And I think somebody somewhere will definitely make the best of this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful for your support and for believing in me and believing what we're doing. When it comes to mental health, we're all in this together, and nobody's okay. And it's time to start acknowledging that and go make a difference and help people live out their dreams and feel comfortable with who they are and being themselves.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you. I'll just be equally tired, if not more tired than this is, but that's the beauty of it, though.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day, like, we all work hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a janitor, if you are a welder, if you're a software coder. We all work hard, just at different things. And so we're all exhausted at the end of the day. They just happen in different ways. And, those who actually use that hard to go focus on what's the most they can get out of that hard are the ones who really have the most fun at the end of the day. This week for you, like I bet you're freaking exhausted.
Yeah.
And you're going to sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
But
But
you did some real shit this week.
yeah, I did. And the crazy thing is, it's always something that I ask for. I've been wanting this for a while, and then I have a taste of it this week, and I go, okay, this is some real hard work. This is some real shit that you have to do every day.
Yeah.
If this is what you really want to do.
Yep.
So it's like, you ask for this, and here it is. Surprise. Here it is for you.
The blessing and curse on one platter.
Yes. Here it is for you. Do something.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Hell
The other day I had one of the ladies I interviewed texted me and said around 5:30. She was supposed to be at 6. So around 5:30, she texted, "I'm on my way." And then I look at it, I was like, yeah. And it was a little rainy. And then I put the phone down, I start setting everything up. My watch buzzes, I look at it, it says, "Can I call you?" And then I looked at the phone. I go in and pick the phone, and I was like, yes. She calls and she goes, "Hey, you said earlier that if you need to come to me, you can do that, right?" I was like, yeah. And she goes, "Okay, I live in Lee Summit because I don't really know how best I can drive in this rain."
Oh, man.
And I jump off. I was like, okay. So I put everything up again, break down all the lights, break everything down.
Yeah.
put it in the back of the car, jump in the car, drive to Lee Summit. Gets there. It took about an hour to decide on where exactly we want to film at.
Mm-hmm.
And where I wanted to film, it's a rather have a huge, beautiful dining table,
Yeah.
round dining table, beautiful wood, oak. Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, man, this is a perfect place to shoot. And her mom was sitting in the corner, and her mom goes, not on my dining table. Not on my dining
Oh,
table.
man.
Her mom goes, you could do it outside on the porch. And then we go to the porch, sit back there, I look at the porch. I was like, there's so many different colors in this place. And I go, hey, you know what? Let's do it. And we filmed it there. And I'm driving home, and the whole time I'm just dying of laughter. I'm just laughing, man.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, this is already being a challenge.
Can't make it up.
And a challenge, and I have 2 more days of this to go. And
Yeah.
you like, that's the beauty of it. If you ask for it, it's gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
And when it does come, sometimes it just when it does come in its own form. It's never what you thought you were getting into. It's never that.
Mm-hmm.
It's never that. You ask for it, oh, best believe it's gonna come. And when it does come, it comes in its own style.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, this is not what I didn't think it was gonna be like this. But it's rewarding. It's very rewarding. This is the first time I have 7 interviews that are either in production or come already produced. So when I do get to launch, I'm launching on a straight up control. I know I'm in 2 weeks. I know I can put an episode out next 2 weeks. So I have it. It's in the computer. Even if it crashes, it's in Google. It's in Google Files, Google Drive somewhere. All I need is a computer. I'll download this same episode back. So you ask for it and it comes, man.
Yep, that's right. Have you ever read the book called The Alchemist?
You know what's crazy? Somebody gifted me this book, right?
Yeah.
And I never read it. And you are the second person this week that told me to read it.
It's kind of like what you just said is, if you put it out in the universe that you want something, it will come to you, but not in the way you plan. And there's going to be problems along the way. It's really cool because it's told as a story. Mm-hmm. Even just the story itself is good. Like if you actually take the time to focus on the metaphorisms within it and the analogies behind it, then it's a really cool, compelling, motivating book. So yeah, it's not hard to read.
No.
But yeah, check it out.
It's funny. You're the second person this week that told me about to read it. It was gifted to me by a friend of mine. And I never read it. I just got it and put it up. I was thinking about reading James Allen's As a Man Thinketh for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my most favorite books ever. That and The Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav. The thing with that book is I did not read the whole book yet, but I've read it in chapters more than 7 times. Nice. But I've not read the whole thing yet. Because I just don't like how when I'm reading it, I see so much of like, when I have so much like aha moments reading it, like, oh, so that was that, and I had to put it down and process that. Yeah. And by the time I'm processing that already, I'm distracted and something else happens, and I come back later, I pick it up, I read, I start all over again, and I get to another point, I'm like, whoa. But I'm gonna get to it. I like that book a lot. I like it a lot. But that's what I was thinking of reading, but I guess I'm just gonna go back and read The Alchemist when I finish reading a book called Multipliers. You ever heard of that book? Mm-mm. So they did a study on some of the most successful CEOs around the world, right? What those CEOs have in common, and what some of the CEOs that fail, what they have in common. So they have multipliers and diminishes. So it's like setting you are as bad as the CEO or the general manager of where you work for, right? Because it could be you can be one terrible employer in under the leadership of one person, and then you go to the next person and you are the best thing ever. It's almost also like coaching. An athlete can be super horrible with one coach, and then they go to the next coach and they like the best thing,
Yeah,
the
that's
best
true.
athlete you have ever seen. So it's just pointing out some of the characteristics of those successful CEOs and
Yeah.
world leaders and what they have in common. And it's a very interesting read and what makes up a multiplier and what makes up a diminisher.
That's a cool
Yeah,
concept. I like
yeah.
that.
It's a very, I'll recommend it to everybody who's in a position of leadership. I have this weird thing of I go to the thrift stores to get books.
I like that. You're gonna find some cool stuff.
Yeah, I just go there to the thrift store, and some of these books I don't even know what they are, and I just walk around and look at the books, and then when I see an interesting title, I Google, pull my phone out and Google it, and then I get a dollar, $2.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even this book, I got it from the thrift store. This the Go Point.
Nice.
So I just looked at it. I was like, you know what? Let me see what this is.